Here with Huw Davies, the co-founder of Ozone API. Huw, one of the main findings that we found from the index was about, I guess, the incredible opportunity that seems to be brewing in the LATAM space. Not just the obvious case of Brazil that's kind of roaring away 5 million connected accounts in a fifth of the time it took the UK to get there, but lots of the other countries around that area that are looking at the model that Brazil has created and the models that exist elsewhere and are making some really fast progress. Maybe starting with sort of Colombia and Chile, could you give us like a bit of a background about what's been happening there and what you're kind of expecting to see in the next year or so?
Yeah, sure. I mean, first thing to say, the region as a whole is a really hot region at the moment for sort of open banking and open finance progress. As you say, Brazil went first. And it's been a really impressive implementation so far, moving into open insurance and broader open finance at the minute. And we've certainly found it really interesting helping a number of the banks get live and deliver their open banking platforms. But as we look across the rest of the Latin America region, now there's loads going on. Colombia is getting really vibrant at the moment. Obviously, the decree came out in the middle of last year, so there's the starting gun has been fired. There's now a huge amount of focus on what we're seeing, which is interesting, is, and we're seeing this in a number of markets around the world. The big banks have seen what's happened elsewhere and have realised that this is a significant opportunity to develop and grow their business. It isn't being seen as a compliance project. So we're working with quite a number of banks across the region who are looking at, right, how can I deliver APIs that really help me grow my business, help me create new payment use cases, drive new revenue streams, add real value and solve real customer problems. So it's starting from a very different mindset, and across Colombia, Chile, markets like Peru, even some of the smaller markets within the Latin and Caribbean region like Dominican Republic are all taking this really seriously and seeing it as an opportunity to drive real economic growth and change sort of societal issues like financial inclusion and things. So yeah, it's really exciting.
So how does that difference of approach, how does that kind of net out then in terms of the characteristics of the system that goes on to get shaped off that?
So to some extent, I think we're still to see that. So a number of the markets that we just talked about are preparing to go live, but I think the key difference is we're not seeing the banks waiting to be pushed.
Yeah,
we're seeing the banks really grab hold of this as a strategic opportunity and looking at how can they move even ahead of the regulation to deliver great APIs that solve real problems, as I say, and create real commercial opportunities. And also, interestingly, how can the industry move as a whole in certain markets? So payments is a great opportunity. What could that look like in a more coordinated fashion? So there's some really interesting discussions at both at individual bank levels and at market levels to look at how can you take the learnings and the best practices from other markets and I guess really kind of leapfrog what's happened in the UK or Brazil or Australia.
And they're doing that right as well. I mean, Brazil is in the process of leapfrogging the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, one of the things that we will see in regions and around the world is almost a competitive spirit between markets and regulators and central banks to take that learning and leapfrog other markets in the region, because the prize is really big. You do this well and it drives a significant amount of inward investment into a market.
What do you expect to see coming out of the States over the first kind of half of the year?
Actually, if we think about North America, probably start with Canada. There's been a clear momentum for quite a while now in Canada to move towards consumer-directed finance, effectively sort of open banking.
They're made for Canada model, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and I think there's still a lot to work through, but the momentum is very real. There's an implementation trustee and a steering committee, and the industry's working. There are still quite a few questions to answer, but it's happening, and I think, I'd say, there will be a Canada flavour of open banking and open finance. I mean, interestingly, in the US, so it has been a completely market-driven model for a very long time in the US. We've seen more recently the first moves towards a more regulatory-driven environment, which is really exciting, perhaps a surprise to a number, but starting to go through that consultation phase. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you look at the number of financial institutions, the number of consumers, they're already very vibrant FinTech infrastructure. It is going to be an enormous opportunity. So, yeah, not going to be immediate, but definitely one to watch, and it's exciting that it is shifting.
Great. Huw, thanks very much.
You're welcome. Great to talk to you.